Well,
Chuck Norris, thumbs up.
why don't we start with the school, since the youth center is only coming in 10 minutes?
All right, perfect. I'll go on this side.
We have 3 articles open. 2 are yours.
Oh,
Yeah, actually,
Yeah, I was gonna say two of ours, right?
Youth Center is on, so,
Youth center's there?
yeah, she's on, she's just, I have to allow her to talk if you want me to get her on.
Oh, because she was supposed to be first and then school.
Yep, so, well. Come on.
Sorry.
You guys can go back here where you were sitting.
Just sit and relax.
Make a dramatic
asking
entrance
you're
again.
telling.
Okay, Jen, are you
Only
there?
wanted to eat.
I think she's muted.
Here she is.
Hi, yes, I am, but I know Brendan and Stacy are joining, and I know we were on the agenda for 7:10, so I think we need a couple more minutes just to get everyone.
Okay, then we'll take a school article.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Brendan's on, Brendan and Stacy are on.
Oh, there you go.
Brendan?
Oh, they're on? Okay, then we're good to go if you guys want to start with us.
Okay.
We're happy to do that.
Do we have a subcommittee, this is under general government?
Youth Center?
Youth Center.
Yeah, this is the van update for the article for the van that we discussed at our last meeting.
Subcommittee chair,
Yes.
report?
Report is, there is a need, there is an article on the warrant for the need for a passenger van for school trips, summer camp trips, and also for picking up, doing when they have their, when they have their events, they pick up raffle items and whatnot. They go around town. So this is going to be a general use center van, primarily for trips, summer trips, is my understanding.
What's the article number?
21.
So that right now they're proposing I guess right now it's around $60,000 plus for this I think it's a 12-person passenger van, and they got a quote for $60,000.
I think I saw 65, right?
Is it 65?
I think it was 65.
For
That-
Up to 70 though, but yeah.
a used vehicle.
Yeah, it's a 2021 passenger van.
For a used vehicle.
70.
So,
Well, that's a question that Jerry's going to raise.
Well, yeah, I looked at the document that was provided, and I looked at it in detail, and it's for a used 2022 van for $65,000 and change. And it has 23,000 miles on it, and the
yeah.
dealer provided a copy of the prior retail sticker for the vehicle when it was a 2022 new vehicle sitting on the lot. And the retail price has been whited out in the documents that was sent to us, but I was able to add it up, and it's $50,900. And I'm asking myself, why on earth would you pay $65,000 for something that was only $50,900 when it was originally new?
There's a lot of there's a lot of layers, I think, to this van. There is definitely a need for it. I mean, without a doubt, the youth center does need a van. It's just a matter of how we can secure the van for them through town meeting, or I know there is avenues. I mean, I'm having Dr. McIntyre is here, and the school committee chairperson is here as well. Maybe they can speak to it. Is that we're trying to create some synergies with the school department, because in my mind, the two should work, be joined at the hip, as far as, I think it's a good, create synergies between because their customers are the same people, right? It's the students. So somehow, if we can somehow create some synergies between the two groups and see if there's any resources available with the 9 or 10 vans that they have, it'd be appreciated to see if we can create some savings that way. So that
Now,
would be
is
my
this
advice.
van used, and Jen, you chime in, but is this van used only in the summer when there's no school, or is it used all year round?
No, sorry. It is hard. It was hard to hear some of the things that Dave said, but I did hear him say that it would be most likely used mostly in the summer. But that's not the case. Actually, it would be used full year because if you saw my document, we kind of articulated every program that we run, every event that we run. It would actually just serve a different purpose in the summer. So during the after-school months, which is the 10-month free after-school program, we utilize it for not only our current needs, but then we also want to grow our programs. For example, we have a great partnership with Milford TV. We have kids trained at the center, but then to really use the equipment at Milford TV to get them there, that's always been an issue that the parents can't get them during the after school hours to Milford TV to really grow that program. So that's just one example of how we want to utilize the van during the after school program. But in the summer, it actually transitions. It's less use for kids and it's more use for our YouthWorks grant program. So we actually pay and hire outside buses to transport our summer camp kids because we're driving up to 60, 70 youth. So we use actual buses for that. But we have a YouthWorks program that we help employ income eligible youth. We have the state grant that we get now for 3 years, and we would utilize that to meet with our different various municipal departments and businesses that we partner with. Part of that grant requirement is to do case management. So we do weekly visits to the different 11 work sites that we work with, due to the population that we work with that YouthWorks grant. Some of the transportation needs for the employees are actually very necessary to help with that. They had to use Ubers this summer. Our staff last minute sometimes would have to go pick them up to get them to their job sites because of the barriers that they deal with at home. So it would function for not only the after school program, but also the summer programs, but in a different way.
Michael?
Question, if you do have a van assigned to the youth center and you have kids in the van to be transported, who's going to drive it?
So we have done some research with that. We decided that with the youth programs, when children are in the vans, we would have only our two main admin staff be able to drive, if not hiring an outside van or bus driver when we have the youth in the vehicle. But we would not allow our part-time staff or anyone underage to obviously drive the vehicle. It would be very strict who had access to the van.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Would the requirement for an outside driver then entail benefits, part-time, full-time? And I'm thinking not only medical issues, benefits that wise, but also retirement benefits. Because I get a feeling this part-time, so-called as-needed driver is going to become another town employee, as have many others who started out as temporary, then part-time, and full-time. And it obligates the town to more salary and benefits. We cannot use any of the school vans that were purchased a few years back. I can't believe that those vans are used 100% of the time and can't be loaned, at least one. You're looking for one out of the, I don't know how many that were purchased, but one should be able to be loaned. That's my own perspective on this.
Brent and Jerry.
I kind of so I guess I start at the beginning. I'm super supportive of the youth center. Whenever I'm exposed to anything the youth center is doing, I'm in awe of what they do for our kids in this town. But as I think about this specific need, and we conveniently do have our friends from the schools right in front of us, I think about developing a competency of maintaining one vehicle and having and staffing drivers and the safety that comes with that. And I think there is a department right in front of us that has a competency of moving children on a regular basis and maintaining vehicles and hiring vehicles. And I would like to not necessarily develop multiple competencies, where you've got people that are expert in it and then one department that's got one van and trying to figure out how to do this. I'd like it if we could find a way to join forces. I'm not opposed to funding this. I'm probably more opposed to the model, and I would love to say, if there's an opportunity to share resources, that would be awesome. But if there's an opportunity to share competency around taking care of a fleet of vehicles and the servicing of them and having safe drivers and everything that comes with that, versus, one of the things I really admire about the youth center is how scrappy they are. I don't want to get scrappy with moving kids around. I think that's something you want to be really good at, and there are people with the schools that are very good at that and do it every day, and that's where my head is. But I'm very supportive of the school, the youth center continuing to expand what it does for our kids. I would just like to do it in a slightly different way than the linear hire them, buy them a van and let them go for it.
Before we get to your next question, Jerry, Jerry asked a question of why does a brand-new van that costs $50,000, $50,900, 2 years later costs $65,000?
Yeah, that's another good thing.
Can I dovetail on that? Because I agree
It's
with
your
what you said 100%. Somewhere along the line, we need to address the competency issue of particularly the driver. That someone's got to do a Corey check, a background check, and a competency check for driving. And I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what we're doing. And the other thing, I agree with you in that we need to create, some kind of loan arrangement where, I don't care who drives the vehicle as long as they're competent, and I don't care who pays for the vehicle, the driver or the gas, because it all comes out of the same pot. So somewhere along the line, we need to work something out to satisfy them. By the way, I thought your write-up was excellent. You did a great job of narrating what your needs are. That's the kind of thing that we need to know so we can establish a level of confidence that the van's not going to be used for some unusual purpose. I won't even go down that road. I wish.
Sorry to interrupt. You have two questions, one from Lauren, one from Brendan.
I wish everybody had gone to that much detail. But I have a concern, and after the last Thursday's meeting, I took it upon myself to go visit Town Hall to find out the details about purchasing vehicles. This is not just an ad hoc thing. We go out in the street and, go talk to a dealer and buy a vehicle. There are rules in the state called the state bid list, okay? And I spent some time, I couldn't find Zach today, but that's okay. Mr. Tom Brown, you and I probably had a good 15 to 20-minute conversation about what is the correct procedure to acquire a vehicle. And if you don't mind, don't let me butcher it up.
Sure.
Do you mind?
Sure.
Is it okay with you, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Would you mind elaborating that for us, please?
We can jump out.
Make these guys move.
But too far. I'd like to hear from you in this.
Because I thought his explanation to me,
Okay, so first and foremost, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Select Finance Committee Board. First and foremost, if a vendor is on the state bid list, you can stop right there and place your order, providing funding is available. Anything under $10,000, you use your JAP, generally accepted accounting practices. From $10,000 up to $49,999, you need at least 3 bids. You typically go with the lowest bid unless there's some extenuating circumstances where maybe one vendor doesn't have a certain item you need in the vehicle, where another one does. You don't necessarily have to go with the lowest bid.
But Brownie,
Yes.
do you need 3 bids if you're buying off state bid lists?
No.
Okay, so
If you're buying off the state bid list, you can go right ahead and buy it.
okay, I just want to make sure,
Yes.
because that was a question.
Yes,
clarification,
yes.
what is the procedure, the bid procedure? Because what I've
Well,
seen,
it should be the department head should go out and solicit 3 quotes,
okay,
okay? And then they,
what I've seen thus far
yes.
is less than what I consider necessary to qualify as a bid.
Okay.
It's pretty helter-skelter all over the board.
Regarding that, Jerry, good question. Basically, what they do, first of all, is go find a quote to get a basic idea of what parameters they'll need, dollar value-wise, to bring to this committee, and then make a decision that this is approximately the amount of money we need. Once it gets appropriated at town meeting, then that's when they'll pursue the 3 definite quotes, definitive totals and everything, and at that point. So what you see here and what you get presented here is really an informal document that gives you some type of guideline on the dollar value that you're up against. Once the appropriation is made through town meeting, then they'll go out and get 3 specific quotes. Anything up to $49,999. Anything above that, over $50,000, it's got to be a blind submission bid. And then you make a determination based off blind bids.
So in the case of the youth center van,
Yes.
which right now we know it's at least $50,900 for a brand-new van to fulfill the needs. It's probably more now. the minimum requirement is they have to go out and do a blind bids, okay? And then,
Unless they go to a state bid vendor.
Correct.
And if they go, and I looked it up today, Meehan is a state bid vendor.
thank you, I asked them yesterday to find, I
Yes,
went to the.
I looked everything- they are a
I
state
went
bid
there
vendor.
yesterday to answer that question, and surprisingly enough, this is not a,
And the school buys all their vans from them.
We usually.
Yes, yes.
I couldn't get an answer, okay? So
Yeah,
I'm
they
just,
do.
I'm just.
I made sure I
and
looked at
I'm
it.
like, and so, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
checking on that, because now that clarifies things immensely at this point in time, because,
Now, I'll get to Lauren next, but Brownie, just so I understand, town meeting says you have up to $100 to spend on a truck. You then go out and get 3 bids or identify the state bid list item. Who then does the due diligence on the 3 bids or the state bid? Before they place the $100 or $50,000, whatever it is, who does the due diligence to say, yep, they follow procedure?
Basically, well, we will. It should be our procurement officer, which is Rick, but we work on his behalf and then go present it to Rick and
Oh,
say
and
this is
it's
what we
Rick
have.
Valani?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
If
he's-
he delegates to you, you're his designee?
Yes.
It's still Rick Valani?
yes.
Okay, hold on. Lauren, you had your yellow hand up.
Yes, I will put my yellow hand down so I don't forget for later. So I don't have any problem at all with the Youth Commission having transportation, and I thought the presentation was excellent. I noted that it's not just transporting children, it's transporting cargo, which was actually the original intent of the 15-passenger van. But my concern is from a risk management perspective. Just because of my background in insurance, my recollection is that 15-passenger vans have a very high center of gravity. And I think that you might want to consider a safer alternative, like a minivan, an SUV, a minibus, or a 15-passenger bus with dual rear wheels. Just because of the high center of gravity, at higher speeds, you can have rollovers. And that particular model was actually a topic of discussion with a national safety thing that I read online. So that was my only point.
Very good point. Bobby, you had your hand up.
No, Brendan.
Oh, who?
Brendan Rickard.
Rickard.
Hi, Al. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
there you are. I didn't see you down there. Yes. Go ahead, Brendan.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, tonight for reviewing this. No, we appreciate these concerns, and we talked about it as a board pretty extensively leading up to this discussion. We asked a lot of the similar questions about who's qualified to drive one of these vans, liability, things of that nature. I know Jen did her due diligence by consulting the legal department on what the town liability would be and making sure we're in alignment with the laws. I just want to address a couple different topics that were brought up. The first one with this communicating with the community use program, because that's really where we would be renting the vans from. We have been able to use vans from community use in the past. It is difficult because our schedules do overlap even in the summertime, because community use does have their summer program. Those vans are being used for students who have needs during the summer who also need those vans for educational purposes. So those vans don't sit as idle as you might think. And we do run into issues with coordinating. And in fairness to the schools and community use, they kind of get first dibs on usage. So, if we ask for a request, they're going to look at their schedules and make sure that they have their needs met before they can rent out to us, which is exactly what the community use program is supposed to do. So I can't really speak to that as from the youth commission perspective, but we have tried. It just hasn't been as seamless as we hope. And in reality, the youth center has a very long history of asking for things and then utilizing them for what we've intended. So, for example, the HVAC system that was approved by the town and installed by the town, we, in the summertime, use the gym more frequently because it was air conditioned and it was more popular for programs instead of being outside to have it to be used inside. So, Jen and her team have a vision for this van, and they have been relentless in a very good way about asking for this and trying to do it the right way. So we do appreciate these questions. We have thought very hard about it and tried to find other ways of doing it, but we feel like at this point, this would be the best course going forward. The upside too is that we would have the ability to use this van for other departments. Even though we would be the ultimate, maintainers of it, we know that for events like Celebrate Milford, for the town cleanup day, that van's going to be used by other departments, and we're happy to loan it to other departments as well. So we don't want to feel like this is the youth center only, no one else can use it. We want you guys to know that we feel very strongly that it should be a town van with the idea that the youth center kind of gets first good at it. So, yeah, I hope that answers a couple questions. I guess the other question about the quote, I can let Jen answer that a little bit more. We did have a lot of trouble actually getting quotes from people. One of the constant things that we've heard were once these vans come in stock, they don't stay in the lot for more than 72 hours because they're in such high demand. So a lot of dealers may even give us the time of day because like we have people who have the cash who are already waiting for these things. So whenever you get the money, let us know.
But Brendan, with all due respect, I would imagine that if we went to a local vendor and said we have money approved to buy a van off the state bid list, and that local vendor is one that supplies many vehicles to our town, because we can say the school owns vans, school owns nothing. Town of Milford owns the vans. So we've bought a lot of vans from different companies. I'd be amazed if they wouldn't work with us to let us order a van, and when it comes in, it's ours. Does that make sense?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That makes sense, absolutely.
Dave, you were next.
No, I'm just.
Mike, you were after him?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, really for the benefit of the FinCom, the potential precedent that this might set. I think the senior center could very well slide in behind them and almost write a very similar justification for their own van, which they now, I believe they use outside vans now, don't they?
No, I thought we bought them two.
Two buses?
They did. You're absolutely right. Years ago, they bought vans that we funded so they could pick people up. My sainted mother once needed a ride because I was out of town to go to the doctor's. And I think it cost $1, something ridiculous.
I understand the schedule is slammed, though.
Sent a van
All the
to
time.
pick up my mom and take her to the doctor's. So I think you're right, but they already beat you to the punch.
Well, then, I'll reverse it and say a precedent has been set then.
Grant?
No, I'm all set.
The one thing that I guess is still resonating in my mind is once you get permission, Jen, you're going to go to Rick Villani and he's going to...
No, what will happen, Mr. Chairman, is that once they get their quotes, they're ready to pay the bill comes to us to pay. If the three, and this is after the fact, to some of the department heads that go out and seek quotes before coming to us to discuss first. Worst case scenario, they submit a bill for payment that has to accompany 3 quotes. If it doesn't, it don't even get processed for payment.
That's my point, saying, Jerry brought up a point saying, we got a $65,000 quote, bid, whatever you want to call it, piece of paper, on a $50,000 new, $65,000 used. I'd hate to see that go in unchecked.
We review them all.
So I do remember my question. Who negotiates the purchase price for the van? Like, is it Jen or is it someone from the town? How does that work? I mean, how do we know we get the best price?
I believe it's the department at the purchaser. We don't see anything.
So, like, Mr. Villani wouldn't be the one going out trying to...
Absolutely not.
I mean, I just...
Scott Christopherly has.
Competitive price.
Now, that's a big gap.
So, for example, the dealership can look at the state bid amount and they can just pick that price and the vehicle could be worth less.
In my opinion, if the department head isn't doing their due diligence, then they're not working on behalf of the town. I've never seen anything like that happen, quite honest. And I've only been here 6 years, but I haven't seen that happen. We have gotten bills to pay without 3 adequate quotes, though, and we've pushed back and not paid them.
But if it's on the state bid list, that is what it is.
But the problem I have with that is you're sparkling around with the good credit of the town of Milford. If I already bought something and I'm submitting it to you to pay, I'm used to requisition, gets prepared, gets submitted, and a Valani would look at the rec and say, yes, it's appropriate, or no, it isn't, before they issue an order.
95% of the time that happens, yes.
Okay.
And when it doesn't, we require them, go get yourself 2 more bids before we put this through.
Yeah, but that's for payment, 1 second, Jerry. That's for payment.
That's for payment.
The
yeah.
order's already been placed by then. So the
After the
horse is
fact.
running down the pasture, it's out of the barn.
He's right. You're right.
I'm a lot more comfortable if we got a commitment from the youth center that says before they place an order, they submit all the paperwork.
And again, most do.
Well,
On the one-offs that don't,
but it's got a legitimate question. He's saying, why are we paying 65 for used when it was 50 new? We don't know the answer. So if we had somebody like Rick, Mr. Valani, look it over, like a purchase requisition, and he says, yes, it is, or no, I'm pushing back because the bids aren't straight, much easier to push back. Before they have
Well,
our money,
absolutely.
they're going to be a lot more responsive.
absolutely.
Is everybody?
We always say don't do that again. That's all.
Question and clarification, if you would, please. In this particular case, the van is going to be in excess of $50,000. That's what it looks like at this point in time, and that's, okay. So the procedure is they have to get 3 blind bids.
If
Or
they're not on the state bid vendor list.
if they're not on the state?
Yes,
Where did the bid come from?
yes.
Okay.
They would call,
Let me, for my own clarification, so there is a dealer here locally that's on the state bid list, they have the van, and they have a number that's on the state bid list. They can buy the van as long as they have this committee and town meeting's approval. Okay. So we've got this thing all messed up right now. We got it messed up twice, once in the assessor's office, and now we got it messed up. It's a convoluted mess. So, and if you're not used to buying a car, okay, if that's not your expertise, what you do as an individual is entirely different than what you do as a town employee when you go out and buy something like that. Because it's night and day. Trust me, I've been at it for 40-some years, okay? And I can see the misgivings, okay? And I just really want you, or whoever it is, to give me something that says, this is what it is, okay? It's the retail price sticker of the vehicle minus a municipal discount. Might be just $1,000, but I can take $50,900, take off $1,000, and I know my purchase price is $49,900. I don't have to pay sales tax, okay? But everybody's got a document fee on these documents. It's $495, and then you got plates and everything else. All that needs to be documented in the bid. What is it going to be? I've done this for a long time, and it's not getting done, and I don't know what we have to do to turn this around and get it done correctly. I know Scott Christofoli over in the Highway Department doesn't mess around with his acquisition of equipment. He's explained how he goes out and okay, he has a very meticulous approach, okay? And I don't know what the school committee do, okay, how you acquired the vehicles that you have. What was your approach? What was your procedure? How did you do that? And I think we need to stop this thing, push it back, and say, go back to ground one and counsel with somebody from the school committee or superintendent's office or Scott Christofoli's office, or even come and visit you, and you'll give them, if it's going to be this amount of money, you got to do these steps. And then present that information to this committee, okay? Because right now, this is ballpark, and it's just out of control.
David?
Can we do both? Can we have the 3 blind bid process, and then if that comes in the way you don't want it to come in, you can go to the state bid?
yeah, yeah.
Why don't we just do that?
What was that again, please?
Not my decision to make.
I'll advise to do that.
What was that?
So just do it both ways. Have a three-bid process, a blind process, see what that comes in. Maybe it comes in a lot less than what we're getting with the state bid.
And if not, go back to the state bid.
And but you can if those three bids come above the state bid. So at least you have an option.
Please separate the conversation too. I think we've lost the fact of, I personally agree with everything Brant said. I think that the youth center's done a great job, and we respect their need. They're doing a lot for this community, but we are now convoluting the how are we procuring this thing or how are we going through the bid process, which is a real thing, versus I think we should understand if everyone agrees with the need or not, and then we go through the correct process.
I agree with you. I was going to suggest that we ask the youth center board, because they've always been straight with us and given us their word, they held up to it, to say, if we vote favorable on it up to $100, whatever, 70 grand, before they place an order, they will submit the requisition with the background to Rick Villani. Now, obviously, Brownie, if he's using you as his designee, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's still Rick's as procurement officer. It's his responsibility. So that would make me feel better, because then we're not going to get a used vehicle 30% more than a new one.
I can provide that assurance, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So, Carly, I think you're dead on. This vote is to get a favorable, well, we need a motion, but this is to get a van for the youth center to use. And Jen, Stacy, Brendan, do you agree? Do you give us your word that you won't buy it until you submit a requisition to Rick Villani and get approved?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll make a motion with a caveat, though.
Whoa, wait a minute here.
They can't buy it.
No, that isn't what he said. They're not going to buy it. They're going to solicit 3 quotes, bring it to town hall. We're going to review it to ensure everything's in compliance, subject to the amount this board approves. And if everything is compliant, then they can.
I have one question.
Well, hold on, Mike, you were next.
Before you reach that point, we had invited the school department in to discuss the potential for sharing, which we have kind of passed over completely.
Oh, good point.
It's a good point. Thank you.
I only took the youth center's view that they've tried and they can't share the van, but
Yeah, if I can speak to that quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Tom.
So all of our vans are out every single day. So they do morning runs and afternoon runs, and there's a portion of our vans that do midday runs, as well as there's some programs that use the vans during the day because they do field trips, like life skills programs and things like that. I would say, and even in the summertime, we're doing transportation probably 6 or 7 weeks during the summertime for summer school and summer programs for our students with special needs. I think, it sounds like in the past there's been collaboration with the youth center on occasion, but it's rare when we have a van that's available during the week between the hours of probably 7 a.m. and probably like 4-ish, depending on, the run the individual vans are doing. That's particularly challenging.
so you don't think it's practical to share a van with the youth center?
I think if they're planning to use a van consistently,
Well, that's what they're saying.
the answer is no.
What about a hybrid view of this, where say, we buy another van, but we ask it to be part of the school's fleet, so you can manage it, maintain it, and handle it. Give them access to a van, right, but handle a lot of the administrative stuff that, they're managing a fleet of one. You have competencies of procuring and managing vehicles that they don't have. And that's what I'm trying to figure out how to piggyback on. Not saying don't buy the van, but try to add to the fleet that the town has.
Basically, you're saying we buy a van, the school manages it, but it's 100% dedicated to the youth center.
The school committee would probably have to approve like that kind of request. I think we're open to any conversation, but yeah, that would be something, I couldn't.
In the world would the school want to do that?
To cooperate. Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, why in the world would the school committee want to be in charge of a vehicle that isn't under their purview? Do you guys want to be in charge of plow trucks? Any interest?
It's different.
But like, in all seriousness, like, I understand it, but why would the school committee ever want to do that? Just throwing it out there. Am I crazy?
Any other questions?
In town.
I have one.
Vinnie.
Where did the current quote come from? Was it off the state bid list?
No.
No. Well, state bid vendor. It came from a vendor,
That's on the state bid list.
yeah, you can say it that way too.
Can't be on the state bid unless it's a
Yeah, well,
used
that's what I'm
vehicle.
saying.
As a used vehicle, it can't be on the state bid list.
But Vinnie, I think you're on some which says whatever they did, we're all
We
agreeing
could do
we could do better.
As you mentioned, I mean, we're paying approximately $14,000 more than a new vehicle.
And that's what I'm
And
saying. Jerry
usually, when
brought
you
that
buy a
up.
new vehicle, you drive it off the lot, you already lose $10,000
Jerry
in
brought that up and
depreciation.
it's legitimate, but
I'm
we've
concerned
got
about,
agreement.
I'm concerned about another thing here.
You have Lauren have the question.
Lauren,
I'm concerned with the lack of consistency. I don't think that the Youth Commission should be the victim of having to be the last party to ask for a vehicle. We didn't give this kind of grief to the assessor's office. We didn't give this kind of grief to the sewer department. And I feel that if the law, if I heard what Bronny was saying, it was kind of hard to hear, if they're able to just buy it, then just let them buy it, and you can give parameters for everybody going forward. But this seems to be like we're mixing apples and oranges. I agree with what Carly was saying. And, we're talking about how used vehicles are more expensive now. That has to do with supply chain and everything. Computer chips and all of that stuff as a result of the pandemic. Jerry would know more than I do.
It has to do with the profit margin.
Correct.
Well, whatever it is, my point is, if it's hard to even, if people are just walking in there with cash and getting the vehicles on the lot, if they find a vehicle, then buy the vehicle, as long as it fits the safety requirements and all the other stuff that we talked about. I don't see why we're making them jump through all these hoops. That's my 2 cents.
are you making a motion?
I will make a motion that we go and get 3 quotes.
Yes,
I'm
it was
not
the-
against the youth center having a vehicle. I understand the need, and I don't object to that vehicle being there. But I think we should be able to pay less for a used vehicle.
Vinnie, I think we've agreed to that if this goes forward,
Yeah.
you heard their board say they'll go through as a purchase rec to Valani first. They won't go out and just make a commitment to buy it.
And then the procurement office will get 3 quotes.
Right, in the procurement office, Brownie, as the designee, is not going to say, oh, you didn't get quotes, that's okay. This is what you have to do for me to approve this requisition and turn it into an order.
Okay.
So how much are we going to try to approve? That's my next question, because this is like off the wall.
Guys,
We don't know whether we're buying
you
a
have a
50.
motion?
I'll make a motion that we buy the vehicle, or put the matter in motion to get a vehicle for the youth center. The documentation will go through to the procurement office, who will require 3 quotes to get the best price for the vehicle that is desired.
Or bid list.
Yeah,
Well, again,
Whatever, right.
the motion is to
How much?
vote favorable to give them what, up to, how much? Up to $70,000, but
I'm not going to
with the
support
stipulation,
$70,000.
that's okay, Jerry, with the stipulation that they submit a purchase requisition to Rick Valani, our procurement officer, before they take any action.
Can I ask a question before that goes further, though? I mean, does the school department have a policy of, like, standard due care regarding their transportation? Does, like, anybody have to sign a waiver before they get on a van to go on a school trip or anything like that? My concern is, like, again, like Lauren put it out, is like, we're children are on these vans. I just don't know what our liability is and how that works, and I don't know if the youth center has a plan in place as far as drivers go and whatnot.
David, I'm more worried. Years ago, the girls' soccer team was not being given transportation. And we brought up the fact that kids in their own cars were driving athletes to Pino Field. And the school department turned around and gave them transportation because the liability was much greater to have 17-year-old kids driving other kids. So from that end, I don't know that I'm comfortable having private vehicles being used systematically.
People should not do that, by
I'm
the
just
way.
saying, how do we, like,
Okay.
Parents should not do
Do
that.
we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
What is the motion?
that we vote favorable on allocating up to $70,000 to purchase a van with the condition that the requisition will be created and turned over to our procurement officer before any commitments are made.
What if you go on the bid list and it's $51,000?
And we're good to
Then it
go.
comes back, just like every other contract.
Discussion.
But, Mr. Chairman, the process is that they seek the 3 quotes.
Right.
Right.
And they
Well, they
present,
have to present to Rick Valani or his designee
yes.
all the information
Yes.
that, Brownie, that you're going to need to say, yes. I'm not saying you do it, you review it, but you're not going to accept moving forward on a purchase unless the laws have been
They're a state
followed.
bid vendor, they get 3 quotes, and the 3 quotes are within the parameters of,
Yep. Michael?
Did the capital subcommittee have the opportunity to vote on this?
Yes, we went favorable.
Okay.
Al, Rick Valani just joined, if you want
Oh.
to ask him any questions.
perfect.
Hello, Procurement Officer Valani.
Yeah, sorry, if I had known this much was going to be discussed about procurement, I would have joined you, my apologies. I kind of heard the tail end of the motion. If this vehicle is going to cost more than $50,000, we do a full bid process. And what that means is we put it out to bid. It goes on the central register, goes on what's a site called Combis, and then we could get 10, 20, 30 bids. Okay, so it's not free, number one. And we always reserve the right to reject any and all bids. Okay, so what will happen is we will get a detailed set of specifications for this vehicle, whatever it is, and I don't know vehicles, okay? Then we would put that on the bid website posting. Then the bids come to us. Then I look at those bids. And typically, it's the same set of specs. It's one set of specs. Once we look at that, we look at the lowest bid.
Yes.
We still can reject it. So we're not doing any negotiation here. We're not doing any of that. If it's on the state bid list and we like it and it's within your appropriation, so in other words, Jen or anybody else, we can't go purchase this vehicle. Town meeting needs to appropriate. You appropriate your sum. I thought I heard 70,000.
Yep.
Once you do that, that's where I come in. I put the bid documents together. I get the specifications from Jen or whoever's putting them together. Then I put the bid and I post it depending on the amount of the appropriation. If it's under 50, then all we need to do is solicit 3 quotes.
Yes.
So we could pick 3 auto dealerships, any 3. Then we would go with the lowest one, but again, we reserve the right to reject any and all bids. So the appropriation is first, the bid documents go second, then we look at the bid results. So I hope that clears it up.
I think that's within the motion and the second.
Okay? It's not quite what I heard, so I just want to make sure, hopefully that clarifies
Yep.
how we would handle it.
Yeah, the only
Okay?
difference, Rick, was that I made the mistake thinking the youth center would go and get the bids, and you're saying you do it. But either way,
I would
you're
do
the
all
one
of
that's
that.
going to look it over, and you and Brownie are going to make sure that it meets the laws and the criteria.
I have one question
No
for Rick.
question on that. I promise you that, yes.
Okay, Vincenzo.
Rick, this is Vinnie. That is, if I'm not, Rick, that's, if I'm not mistaken, the procedure for the state procurement actions, correct?
No question. We're restricted by Mass General Law, Chapter 30B. No
Right.
question. If we don't do it that way, we're going to get in trouble.
That's correct, and that's the way a procurement action
Okay.
should work.
Well, then,
Yeah.
we have a motion. It's been properly seconded. We've had 44 minutes of discussion. All in favor, we'll do a roll call.
No, just,
I think we have to do a roll call. Because of the Zoom.
I'm sorry.
Lauren,
Yes.
Chucky,
Yes.
Bobby,
Favorable.
Carly,
Yes.
What did Bobby say?
Joyce?
Joyce?
Yes.
oh, Joycey,
Yes.
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 Yeah,
Yes.
unanimous.
now that Mr. Valani
Now,
cleared it
there's
up.
one item before we go on to the school, and I do apologize because we're running uncharacteristically half hour late. I was under the impression that the senior center still had their van program. Bobby DeVita sent me a note that said he believes they do not.
Okay?
So that's something we should look at.
I believe Travelers Transit owns the vans, and they own the driver as well.
They provide a service.
Oh, so they outsourced it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They have two
Because I just
vans.
remembered a van was showing up. I thought we owned the vans.
Travelers Transit owns them both. They own the drivers as well.
Oh, that's fine. I don't care. As long as our seniors get transportation for the
Why didn't you
dollar.
defend me before? Why didn't you defend me before?
So now we're setting
Because
a
he doesn't
precedent.
like you.
Can I?
Okay, we're 40 minutes into it. Let's do the school. Can we do the fence so it's not vehicle related?
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank
you.
Thanks, guys. Fence.
Want to do fence first? All right.
Yes.
Article 30.
I hear one more car story.
Well, the other one's not a vehicle either, so. But that's, fence is Article 37. So basically, yeah, we're looking to, get a sum of money to put in a fence in and around the Woodland Turf facility. Basically, what's that?
How much?
I believe, I don't know.
150.
115,000, all right? So it would be a fence and then also safety netting on what I would call the north end of the facility, more towards, away from the parking lot and towards North Vine
Briar
Street.
patch.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. The very overgrown area that loses lacrosse balls, soccer balls, footballs, baseballs, anything else that could potentially be there. So what we're looking at, all right, is that safety fence, which would already it would mimic and mirror the safety fence that's on the south side by the parking lot. So again, that's looking to put up a catch fence, so when students and athletes and any other youth groups are out there, those kids, those athletes aren't going into the pucker brush to retrieve a ball that's missed any type of net on an errant shot, things of that. In regards to the fence would be along each side, and that is to protect the investment because of the pathways on each side, and it basically allows kids to ride bikes. So if you've ever been in that area, you can come off of North Vine Street, you can cut through that pathway and go straight across the field, and then cut back in onto North Vine at Conger Street. So again, Tim Kern, the principal up there, has seen this happen numerous times, so he's looking at, again, protecting our investment of a, $500,000 field that's up there.
Question? Linear feet, how many feet? 150,000?
I don't really have that off the top of my head.
Well, let's face it, it's
So-
300 some feet on each
300 each side, right?
Right.
Across them.
So it's probably somewhere between 800 and 1,200 square feet,
That's
give or
all.
take.
I'm not looking to,
Right.
Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity.
And sending a memo to the kids saying, don't miss the net, won't work?
We've tried that. As a coach, I've tried that many times, maybe by bigger nets, I guess. It's great as long as we get to shoot on them
I think
as the
people
home
would
team.
object to that.
Better coaches.
So just
Yeah, better
send the-
coaches,
send the-
yes.
send the parents in
Sounds
there.
like David's volunteering to coach, so, which is great.
Sounds like what
I'll
you're
let Pete
asking
know.
for is 150,000 for a fence to protect the kids from riding through the fields.
I'll move favorably for 150,000.
Just questions?
Okay, do I have a second?
I have a question.
Just questions?
Questions will come, do I
I'll
have a second?
second that.
Okay, Dave Levine, Jerry and David, you had the first question.
So certainly in favor of the north end netting. I understand the problem. As a coach, I lived through it too. So I think we'd all admit we should have done that in the first installation of the field. So 100% on board. As you think about blocking or fencing in the rest of the field, what's the mental image of this? Is the mental image of the field's locked and people can't access the field after hours? Or is the image, no, it's just hard to ride your bike kind of on that diagonal, but there's still access for people? Because I think our fields are, our turf fields in particular, are treasures and they're hubs of our community, and I don't want to see it get locked.
Yeah, so the other thing that I would add is it's a safety measure too. The netting obviously is a safety measure for people walking behind or spectators, that sort of thing. But yeah, so the fields are used, I think, whenever there's daylight, and even when, they're used as long as they're open.
But Kevin, we already have the other end. the non-prickly bush end.
Yep.
With netting and fence, right?
This would do the other side.
That's what I'm saying. So from a safety point of view, we've already shown that it works.
100%.
It's
And
just
we have those at the high
We
school.
overlooked having it in the prickly bush side.
But the fence is on the side, though. Is the goal to make it so the fields are closed, at certain hours?
It's not really to cut down access, it's really just to limit, I think, some abuse of the field that we're seeing.
Okay, so,
Could the analogy be like the high school? Similar type of like?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's access all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say that now because we've limited access.
Fair enough.
We're installing the new
Yeah.
field and track. But it's really just to kind of limit, I think, it's protecting the asset.
It's
It's
driving.
really
I think
what
it's more like corralling the entrance areas, but not blocking them, not closing them. It's just saying, hey, no, there's a deliberate flow of traffic, so the bike riding across is not.
And we've had this
Obviously, still will be
discussion-
gates and access points,
We've had
onto
this
the field.
discussion over and over that we want to maintain access for town residents who are paying for it.
Absolutely.
Vinnie, you had a question?
Yes, I would like to know what is the material of the fence? The netting, is that plastic, rope, corrugated steel for the fencing, plastic? And what is the longevity of it, the life cycle?
So, the fence will be traditional chain link fence that you'd see around of our other facilities throughout town. As far as the netting, I can't specifically talk to that, but it would be the same netting that is currently, again, on the south, I'd say called the south end zone, the end zone towards the parking lot. So, which stays up year-round and is already 5 years old, 6 years old, and has stood up to the New England winters.
Does the contractor that puts it up give us a life cycle date? 10 years, 30 years, 20 years?
I think we're talking 10 plus. But I think somewhere in the realm of 10 to 15 years is what I would say. That's basically what we've gotten from the high school. It's likely the same material.
Any other questions? Carly?
Can I just ask one clarifying question? So right now there's a walkway. Is the expectation the fence goes on the outside of the walkway and the walkway gets enclosed or opposite? I'm just thinking like seating. There's not a lot of extra space depending on where the fence goes. Just a point of clarification.
Yeah, I think those details still need to be worked out. We get that general bid, or the general budgetary number, and then we kind of work through those
That's fine.
details
As
of
long as-
locations.
But I think she brings up a
Yeah.
great point, because when we're there for, I guess it's called Pop Warner flag football, there's not a lot of room. I haven't been there for soccer games yet, but for what you're saying,
We're going to take the fan experience into consideration.
Yeah.
You just want to, the space isn't as large as the high school,
Right.
so you want to hope that you can maximize the space, but still keep the seating.
Understandable, yeah. And I'm
Any
sure
other
every
questions?
referee would like it beyond, like the fans outside the fence anyway, so.
Roll call?
okay, roll call. Joycey?
Yes.
Bobby?
Favorable.
Lauren?
Yes.
Chucky?
Yes.
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 Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, boilers.
Oilers, yep. So that's Article 31.
Yeah, so the Stacy boilers were installed in 1995. Due to the age of the boilers, they were assessed in 2019 for our capital plan. Last year, a grant opportunity became available to replace and update the aging boilers to a more efficient system. We worked with our grant writer and our grant team and received a grant in the award in the amount of $677,000. Therefore, the ask is for the balance of the full scope of work, so that's an additional $650,000. The targeted replacement will begin in late spring, early summer of 2024 is the plan, and it's needed at Stacy. It's, we're getting it at about a 50% reduction because.
Never
of the
look a grand horse in the mouth.
Exactly.
Because you had this in the capital plan over 3 years. But my understanding is, since we got the grant, we can do it in one shot.
Correct.
That is correct.
So this was a windfall kind of thing.
Big time.
Yeah,
Okay, if
It
it
is.
was on the capital plan for 1.2, 1.3, then all of a sudden you get a grant. But
650.
yeah, it's still,
80 in
it's
the
a
grant.
50%
We need
windfall.
to fund
So-
650.
It makes sense to do it. I'll move
80
favorable
of
for
it
the
is-
Yeah, we have a motion, and
Can I-
Jerry, a second by Carly.
A quick question on that. Who's the grants from?
It's a state program.
So this is for the MSBA program?
No, it's I think it's related to like COVID money that the state received.
Okay, because I read some.
Reallocating money that they didn't use during COVID.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
they've been playing that game for the last year. So shouldn't call it a game, but they.
And in this case, it's a needed piece for a lot of communities, including
If you
Milford.
can put up a better boiler and only pay 50 cents on a dollar, man, go for it. Good job.
Yeah, I think the issue is we've been expecting it to have issues all along. We just got, I won't say lucky, but somebody worked hard to get the grant.
Yeah, the team's been, yeah.
Put something on 1995,
Lauren?
2023.
Lauren.
Just the improvements.
Just a quick clarifying question, because you were talking about efficiency. I'm just curious, did anybody consider maybe a heat pump instead of boiler?
So they'll go through, part of this request is the engineering aspect of it, so they will go through, they will assess the building, and obviously will engineer the most efficient boiler or most efficient system within our scope of and budget.
Good question.
Jerry?
I just want to, gas or oil? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to ask you any more
Yeah,
questions. What?
We'll get back to you on that one.
You don't have to get back to me, just because.
I don't want to answer you incorrectly. I think I know the answer, but I can probably send it out to you.
You said there's going to be an assessment to tell us which is the best for us.
I believe it's gas, Jerry.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Gas is always much more efficient, and I was hoping it was gas anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, part of this request is not just going out and saying we need 3 new boilers to replace the 3 boilers we have in place. Part of it is the engineering and the assessment and engineering cost associated with assessing what would be the best purchase and installation of the boiler. So
When we went through it before, you said that would come out of the first phase of this.
Correct.
So if oil is better with 1 boiler or gas is better with 2, the assessment will tell you what they recommend.
And that's what we move forward with.
yeah.
Excellent.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Joyce, roll call.
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yep.
Chuck?
Yes.
Yes.
I read his lips.
Yeah, Chuck was a yes.
Chuck
Any?
Norris.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I just, okay.
No, too late.
Too late, I know it.
Unanimous.
Yes.
Thank you and sorry for keeping you late.
No problem. We appreciate the support.
Mr. Chairman, before they leave, I just want to, because I would normally do this under other business, but since they're here, I just really want to compliment the 2 of them, because I went to see the Brookside Portable opening.
Monday.
Modular, by the way, modular, not portable, please.
Modular. What day was that?
Monday.
On
Thank
Monday.
you. And what a fabulous, fabulous endeavor that turned out to be. And I want to compliment the 2 of them and the rest of the committee for the work they did on that. And since you guys are here, I just want to tell you.
Yeah, no, appreciate
looks,
it.
Thank you.
Seriously, great.
Teachers are very happy.
It's,
They're thrilled.
I want to move in.
Is it big enough?
It's awesome.
I mean, with all the new kids coming in?
Well, we can never 100% predict that, but we're in a good spot right now.
That's what I want to hear.
There's room for a second story, don't worry.
Exactly.
But seriously, guys, great job on that. Seriously. And I appreciate your invite. Thank you.
FinCom support on that, too. And the town support overall, town meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Countryside.
New business.
I'll start with a subcommittee update on Countryside. Just set the stage with Countryside. We've been talking about this since the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, we know what it did to the economics of Countryside, particularly as we shut down the short-term care. And I've been giving updates on that, fairly regularly for the last several years. Current situation right now, Countryside continues to lose $200,000 to $250,000 a month, and we see that pattern over the summer. It still continues. That's the pattern we're in right now. With the town meeting appropriations of the past, plus some employee retention credits that the board has secured, their cash position is going to carry them till November of next year, December next year, plus or minus a month or 2. It's hard to be perfectly precise about this, but there's enough cash on hand to run roughly a year. And we think the board, as a subcommittee, we look at what the board's navigated, and there's no lack of appreciation for what the board has navigated. They've done a great job navigating a pandemic and a real big change in the cost and the structure of nursing care. I mean, that industry, it's been in the press widely. We've seen how it's affected the industry. They've navigated through a lot and done a great job with it. But we also have shared with the full FinCom and obviously, of course, the Countryside Board that we don't believe that we should continue to fund Countryside with taxpayers indefinitely. So this puts us in an uncommon situation for this board. Most of what we receive and work with is things that are immediate asks right in front of us. There is no ask for cash for Countryside in this warrant, and there is no warrant in the future that includes it. We expect, though, that about a year from now, there is going to be a request for money. But we need to think as a FinCom, how do we do our job as advisors to the town meeting before the cash is gone? We know in about a year the cash will be gone. So we have a responsibility at this moment to say to ourselves, well, how do we use this opportunity? And principally what's in front of us is, and us as a town and as town meeting, is a decision around, do we want to permanently fund this and take our taxes up $2.5 to $3 million a year permanently? Or do we want to have an exit strategy? Because we see that this pattern is going to continue. With that as a setup, Andy has worked on what I think is a good approach for what we could do with this town meeting versus being passive and just watching the cash continue to burn.
Andy, you have comments?
I do. So what we discussed was, as part of the Finance Committee presentation at town meeting, that we have a discussion of Countryside for the benefit of town meeting to be a little bit proactive, since I don't think they've really been informed of the complete financial picture and operational status of the entity. So I'm going to hand out the proposal for dealing with, just take one and pass those down. Help slide those down, thanks. I'll read this for the benefit of people that are by Zoom, but I'll just give everyone here a chance first to get a hard copy in front of them. So the proposal or the motion is that we authorize and direct the representative of the Finance Committee, which is presumably Al, at town meeting as part of his Finance Committee presentation, that he provide the information on this sheet to town meeting with respect to Countryside. Now, first, with respect to the financial posture of Countryside, and all these numbers have been vetted with the town's finance department. As of August of 2023, the cash balance for Countryside is approximately $1.2 million. In addition, the town has appropriated but not yet advanced $1.25 million. As you may recall, over the past 3 years or so, we've actually authorized the advancement of $4.75 million. $1.25 million of that has not yet been advanced. So that would leave ready cash for Countryside as of August of 2023 of $2.45 million approximately. Now, the estimated burn, or the average cash losses for the nursing home over the past, I think we took 5 months as a metric, is about $200,000 a month. That does not include capital expenditures or unforeseen numbers, so that could conceivably be a higher number, but we used the last 5 months as the metric. So what that would mean is if you take the $2.45 million and divide it by 200,000, that, as Brandt pointed out, is about a year of runway. These numbers were as of August of 2023, so that would give them sufficient funding to go until August of 2024, give or take. Now, there is the wild card in there of the not yet received employee retention credit funds. We understand that part of those funds have been received. They believe they're entitled to an additional $1 million. I assume that application is in process. At this run rate, that would give them an additional 5 months of a runway, which would take them until January of 2025. So a 10 to 15-month runway is what we anticipate given the current financial posture. Now, the Finance Committee position, we would recommend as part of this motion, and based on the unanimous recommendation of the Countryside Subcommittee, is that Countryside use these available funds to complete an exit plan, which could be a sale of the business or an orderly closure of the facility over the next 12 months or less, and that we have informed Countryside, which I believe we did at the September meeting, that we expect to vote unfavorably on any further requests for funding. And lastly, I pointed out that there are approximately 360 nursing home facilities in Massachusetts, and Countryside is one of 2 in Massachusetts that are operated or supported by a municipal government. So that's the motion. I just wanted to address a couple of issues that may come up. One is people may say, well, is 12 months enough time for this disposition? I spoke to a lawyer today who regularly deals with nursing home dispositions, and he told me that 6 months is not an unusual amount of time for the due diligence, the marketing, and closing. As far as the orderly closure alternative, thanks to Mike Nicholson, who performed some research for us, the state requires 120 days' notice. It may be shorter if you have financial exigencies. I've seen institutions close in a lot shorter amount of time than that just because they had no cash to operate, but 120 days is the state statute. So in answer to the question of is 12 months enough time, not only is it enough time, but it's more than enough time given those general metrics. The second question that we may be asked about is whether this creates adverse publicity to the nursing home by doing it this way, and I think the response to that is we were given that same argument a year ago, and as you recall, we were asked for $2.5 million. Jerry Hyatt, I recall at the time, said $2.5 million sounds like more than what they need, but we gave the full $2.5 million. And we also, if you recall, stood down at the town meeting in the fall of 2022 and said nothing about the proposals or what was going on at Countryside, all in furtherance of their request that they be able to handle this without us being more public than we needed to be. But we are now a year later. Nothing has changed. There have been no sale efforts undertaken that we can know of. Chris asked the question at the September meeting. I don't believe we heard anything about any voluntary sale efforts have been undertaken. So the subcommittee believed that we need to be more proactive in this regard. So that's the presentation and the motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I move favorable on the motion.
Jerry can't, he's already made a motion.
I'm seconding it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were... That's fine. I'll set... Go ahead. Chris is fine.
Okay, Chris is second.
I just think...
Any other discussion?
Very well done.
Excellent
job.
report. This is the type of stuff
This is the
this
type
looks
of
like
stuff-
Mike Nicholson stuff right here.
This is
It's a compliment. This is really,
This is what we need more often.
it's great work, Andy.
Great job.
Now, is there anything else that,
Can we...
hold on, Chris?
Nope.
Is it okay to discuss the balance sheet?
I wouldn't do anything until they're here.
Excuse me? Your
I
hand...
wouldn't do anything until they're here. It's hard to have a one-way conversation,
I
Jerry.
think the motion is clean, and more discussion is going to muddy the waters.
Thank you. I
Mr.
agree.
Nicholson.
Let's move ahead.
So Jerry, if your question is, can we disclose at town meeting their financial posture? I don't think there's anything confidential
It's
about
our
that.
financial. We're the ones that carry the bond. It's our debt.
You're talking about the financial statements of
No, but I think the burn
Countryside?
rate is the relevant argument that they have
No, I don't want to discuss it in open meeting, to be quite honest, because there's some other ramification. I'll just leave it alone. Let it, it'll come to pass.
Yes, Jerry. I think what you brought up is enough discussion right now. That they've got $2.5 million coming allocated, and they're burning 200 a month.
Right.
We can do the math.
Right.
But I agree that we shouldn't have detailed discussions with the mirror.
Mr. Chairman, I understand the motion has been seconded, but can you just repeat the motion so it just, I think some time has passed.
The motion is that we authorize and direct the representative of the Finance Committee at the October town meeting to make a presentation as part of the Finance Committee presentation of the current circumstances with Countryside, which would include the information that's provided on this sheet.
Thank you, Andy.
Now, if something comes up between, say, this week or the next 10 days that is material to the presentation, I would suggest, unless you object, we have a meeting before town meeting at 6 o'clock to discuss it. So it'll still give me time to modify.
Yeah, I would agree with
I
that.
think it's a perfect plan, Mr. Chairman.
If they have a meeting and they come up with some ideas that are relevant, we'll still have a chance before town meeting. So I want to be as fair as I can. So I will post a meeting for 6 PM, the Monday of town meeting.
Can I participate in that by telephone if I need to? I'm a little concerned about the timing. Some of us are coming out of Boston.
Where's it going to be?
You'll be in a car, aren't you?
I'm assuming here because normally there's no meetings an hour before town meeting. But I'll double check tomorrow.
As long as it's no more than a half an hour.
Oh, no.
Because I have to get upstairs ready for town meeting, so.
Well, you could leave us going.
It's not going to be more than a half hour.
I can't do Zoom both down here and upstairs on the same account.
Oh, the Zoom, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant your presence would be needed, but
Are you intending on being remote?
I am not comfortable that I can make a 6 o'clock meeting.
Andy still works for a living.
I would prefer that we do another 7 o'clock some other night, but I don't want to
Well,
inconvenience
it's
people.
up to the committee. What do you think? Do you want to do it the Monday, the Thursday or Friday before the town meeting?
If necessary, yes.
Well, what is the pleasure? I could care less.
I'm flexible.
Mr. Chairman, can I just throw this out there because I know that the Milford Geriatric is meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. with an executive session specifically to talk about something like this. I think maybe hearing the results of that may dictate whether there's even a need to have a meeting or whether there is, or whether, I mean.
But Chris, that's what I'm saying.
So my point is,
We can schedule a meeting, and if we don't need it, cancel it.
Well, my point is, maybe you even want to wait till tomorrow, because if we don't hear good news, maybe there's not even worth a meeting.
Are you going to that
Mr.
meeting?
Chairman.
Chris, are you going?
I am not, no, I'm not. It's an executive session meeting. It's only for Countryside board members.
All meetings are open.
Not when it's executive session.
When we find out, and if we determine we should have another meeting, what is the preference of the board? A 7 o'clock before or a 6 before?
My preference is to have someone integral, important on the subcommittee be there, so
Beware.
be at the meeting, so if we...
It's exec session. It's only their
It's already
executive
posted, you
board.
can't.
No, the meeting that we're going to have.
Oh, okay.
No, the meeting that we're going to have, I think we need to
I
have...
think Andy's presence is
Yeah, Andy's
essential.
presence is so valuable, so we should make it
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock on another day.
Andy, you can make
I was
7?
saying.
I can make 7.
7 o'clock.
Okay.
When?
Which dates are we
I don't
talking
know,
about?
we
The
don't know yet.
26th?
I don't know. I've got to
27th?
check with
Can't we
the
go to any
select
executive
board's
committee meeting?
office to see what days are open, because I really would like to have that as remote so that our other members can participate, which means either this room or, we're going to have a hard time fitting into room 11.
If you're looking at a remote, is it possible that you poll the members who are working and not retired to see if they could actually get into a remote meeting while at work, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, something?
It's imposing upon them.
That's imposing upon the.
I think you need to decide tonight.
Well,
You're
it
in the middle
sounds
of a
like
client
7
meeting,
o'clock works for
Maybe lunchtime, I don't know about 3 o'clock.
So I'll find out
I understand.
if we need to have a meeting tomorrow. I'll find out what days this room is available,
Exactly.
and we'll post it from there.
Sounds good.
It's a smart choice.
I'm not adverse
We have a
to,
motion and a
We
second.
have a motion.
Al, I'm not adverse to having a Saturday morning 9 o'clock meeting either. Quick.
Roll call.
Well, if I have to, I will.
Saturday.
Okay.
You're buying the coffee.
Yeah, there you go. Motion, and it's been seconded on the floor. Joyce, roll call. The motion that he just read again.
I'll tell you after, Dan.
Bobby,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Chucky,
Yes.
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 Emphatically, yes.
Yes.
unanimous.
Mr. Nicholson's got spunk lately, doesn't he? He had a joke last meeting, and now he's emphatically.
That's
Are
because
we ready to adjourn?
That's because he wants to be chairman.
I'm telling you, Nicholson's got spunk lately. I
adjourn.
dig it.
Okay, there's a motion to adjourn. The motion to adjourn is not debatable.
Let's go. Good night.
Well, hold on, we got to vote.
Don't vote on.
Yes.
Jerry. Joyce.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
Bobby.
Yes.
Lauren.
Emphatically, yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
All in on the yes.
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 Unanimous, sold, we are adjourned. I will let everybody know what our options are once I check with the Select Board's office tomorrow.